customer, and we didn't anticipate dragging it out, but we can't really, we don't have a registration, so we can't really work on that house and make money, but we finally got it where he's done, not trying to get him to paint the brick, and we thought we had it sold.
We may be cutting it close. Sorry.
Meeting of the Russellville Planning Commission to order.
Attendance.
We're missing a few of the members tonight, so if I mess up on this, it's a volunteer position here, so we'll go through the rest of it. Let's see, first item on the,
Attendance.
well, we need to do the roll call.
Yeah.
Make sure we got a,
Miller. Black. Monfee. Hatley.
Here.
Duffield. Choate.
here,
Edgel. Clear.
Here.
Cothran, present. Mr. Keller. We have a quorum, barely.
can you hear me now? All right, let's approve the minutes from the June meeting.
So move.
Got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the June meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Looks like we have no unfinished business, so we'll go straight into the new business. First item of business is the election of a new vice chair. Mr. Jackmore has resigned, and since we have several people absent, I'm going to postpone that until the next meeting. Before we do that, so we'll table that item.
I think we do have to have a motion and a second to postpone.
Motion to table.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion, Catherine. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Table that till next month's meeting. Item 2, special use permit to allow a child care center, 5920 North Arkansas, submitted by Ms. Stuber. Give us a report on that, please.
Good evening, y'all. special use permit for 5920 North Arkansas Avenue. Currently, this property is located within the North City Spur in an R1 single-family residential zone. The property is located just south of the Dover-Russellville city limits. Surrounding uses include a single property to the north zone C2 highway commercial, and the rest of the surrounding uses being single-family homes in an R1 zone. Before the applicant acquired the property was previously used as a residential home daycare facility that likely operated outside of compliance with the city zoning code, as the applicant has noted that the facility operated well above the 5-child maximum for residential home daycare facilities. Another daycare historically operated on property catty corner to the applicant's property. However, it is no longer in operation. The proposed use of the property being a child care center as opposed to a residential home daycare center could be in line with land use in this district. The table of permitted uses states that this is permissible via special use within single-family residential zones. The future use according to the comprehensive plan is rural corridor, which would ostensibly include a mix of residential uses as well as commercial facilities. An operator of a child care center may not reside as their residence in the child care center. Contrasting with a residential home daycare, a child care center would fit the characteristics of the future land use and provides a necessary service to the neighborhood. The property was purchased by the applicant with the intention of continuing the use as a residential home daycare facility, as that was the use of the property when the applicant purchased it. While coming into compliance with the city for licenses and permits, the applicant found that residential home daycare facilities can only permit up to 5 children at a time on the premises, which would not be sufficient for operating her business. Staff has recommended that the use be changed to a child care center permissible in an R1 zone, meaning the applicant shall move her primary residence off of the premises so that her business may operate at the desired capacity in compliance with state of Arkansas child care regulations and licensing. The applicant is not proposing any changes to the property beyond the use type and intends to utilize the entirety of the building as a child care center. The applicant's property has a large driveway with large areas for off-street parking, with sufficient parking for staff and parents dropping off or picking up children at any given time. It is staff's recommendation that the Planning Commission approve this special use permit request with the following conditions: that the applicant will not reside on premises upon approval of the business license, based on the findings below, that the proposed special use preserves the character of the neighborhood, the applicant demonstrates thoughtful design complementing neighboring uses, the applicant has submitted a sufficient parking analysis, the applicant demonstrates compliance with regulations within Article 2.3 and Article 3.5 of the Russellville Zoning Code, and the proposal promotes orderly development and supports the intent of the zoning code. Are there any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. The applicant is here and
Okay,
would like
yeah,
to
if
speak.
the applicant would like to speak on their, on behalf of that, yeah, you're welcome to. Please tell us your name for the record.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Shelby Stuber, and I'm the owner of Sissy's Corner. For the past 2 years, I have cared for 5 children in my previous home, building strong relationships in a safe and loving environment for families in our community. On September 11th, 2024, me and my husband were blessed with a beautiful baby girl. She spent just under a month in the NICU at Children's, and so when we brought her home, it was pretty clear to me that I wanted to be with her as much as possible. So when we originally planned to expand our daycare within the next 5 years, but then life had other plans. We toured Donna Tucker's old home and instantly fell in love. We knew it was where we wanted to raise our daughter and continue growing my dream. However, less than 3 months after purchasing our dream home, we learned that we could not operate as an in-home daycare for 10 or more children and reside in it, despite Miss Donna Tucker doing so. This has been devastating news for us. My only hope is that you will support both my special use permit request to operate as a child care facility and the long-range planning change to update the R1 use table to allow family home daycares by special use. I also hope you will push this matter forward to the agenda prep meeting so we can take the next step towards city council review. If this is denied, I will not only lose the ability to financially provide for my family, but we may also lose our home. I truly believe that this change is not just important for my family, but for many families in our community who rely on really good childcare. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions for me?
Any questions? No questions for you,
Okay.
thank you. Yep,
You ready?
yep.
Motion to move to council.
Got a motion and a second. We have any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, take a vote.
Is that a motion for approval, so the special use permit will be
Yes.
approved
Yep.
tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, not at council tonight. Yes.
Tonight.
Yes.
Move it to council.
So the, sorry.
As she's
Approach the mic. We also have a zone text amendment, and that was what she was referencing, that will be moved to council. There's a zone text amendment kind of related
Okay.
to her project.
Fine.
So the special use permit, I just want to make it clear, the special use permit will be approved tonight. The zone text amendment is what she's requesting be moved on to council. Sweet, thank you.
All right, we got a motion by Justin, had a second by, okay. And motion and second on to approve as submitted with the, as requested by the planning commission. So anyway, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 3, special use permit for golf cart trailer sales.
Yes, sir. So this is a special use permit at 1215 East 14th Street. This is located in the Cyclone neighborhood. This property includes a building that was previously utilized as Delta Pest Control. The applicant is proposing to do both a golf cart and trailer sales business, as well as a golf accessories business in this property. Adjacent uses include a sign company, an equipment sales company, a veterinary office, an auto detail shop, and a residential neighborhood. This property is zoned C2 highway commercial, with properties to the south, west, and east being zoned C2, and properties to the north are R3 medium high density residential. The applicant is not proposing any real changes to the site at this time. The building is being utilized as it currently stands, and as a result, many standards in the Russellville zoning code are not applicable, including sidewalks, landscaping, or commercial building design. The site has existing paved parking spaces up front, and the applicant is proposing 3 striped spaces to be utilized. ADA regulations allow for parking lots of 4 or fewer spaces to have accessible spaces, but those spaces don't have to have a sign, and anyone with or without a disability can park in the accessible space. The applicant has future plans to pave an area on the west side of the building and has been informed that at that time a parking space will need to be provided that is in full compliance with ADA regulations, including size and grade. Review comments, when we look at special use permits in a commercial zone, commercial building design must be considered, and in the review of this application, 5 questions must be answered. Is the building designed in visual harmony with buildings either in the same vicinity or along the same commercial corridor? While the structure does not meet the exact specifications of commercial building design, the building is existing and has similar style and bulk as surrounding structures. The structure's facade appears to consist of concrete block and glass, which meets commercial building design, but does not have the required 8 feet down both sides, perpendicular to the street. Again, this building is existing, and the applicant is not proposing any changes at this time that would trigger commercial building design standards. The second item is that buildings must express individual design and creativity without detracting from the visual environment to the point at which the values of adjoining properties will be negatively recognized. This is an existing structure, and it fits within the context of the area and does not detract from the visual environment. 3, buildings must be appropriate to the context in which they reside. Again, this is a structure that's appropriate for the context of the commercial corridor in which it currently stands. Generally do not detract from the aesthetics of the location, area, and community as a whole. While the building does not exactly meet commercial building design, it fits into this context of the surrounding structures and does not detract from the look and feel of the area as a whole. The proposed use meets the spirit and intent of the code, and the use is appropriate for the corridor in which there are other auto-related uses. As a result of this, staff does recommend approval of this special use permit with the following conditions. The applicant must submit a parking analysis prior to building permit issuance. And then when the parking on the west side is proposed, again, it must be in compliance with ADA and completed in accordance with those regulations. This is as a result of the findings that the applicant has demonstrated compliance with articles within Article 2.10 of the Russellville zoning code. A parking analysis shall be submitted that shows adequate parking on site. The proposed use is in line with adjacent uses within the district, and current traffic routes are constructed in such a way to handle traffic from this business. Are there any questions for me? Okay, the applicant is here. If they have any comments, just wanted to let you know they are here. Thank you.
Heisman, you got anything you'd like to talk about? You good? Okay. Entertain a motion. Motion to approve with the staff's recommended conditions. And a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Now we'll do staff report item number 4.
Yes, sir. Item number 4 is a memorandum of understanding, a license and land at 201 North El Paso Avenue. The 500 and 600 blocks of West C Street, as well as the northern half of the 200 block of North Fargo Avenue, are surrounded by highway commercial C2 neighborhood and quiet business C4 and the downtown crossing zone. There is also heavy industrial M2 along the train tracks to the immediate northwest of the area, and further east is the central business district. The buildings surrounding these blocks are nearly all being utilized by Sugar Creek Foods, with the exception of a building being used by Barrett and Associates. Sugar Creek Foods employees must cross the 500 and 600 blocks of West C Street as part of their regular duties. They also operate heavy machinery, forklifts, etc. across the street. Sugar Creek Foods insurance provider has requested that further safety measures be taken in order to protect employees from increasing probabilities of conflict with traffic passing through the area. Memoranda of understanding for a license and land have previously been issued for properties in which the public is utilizing a portion of the right-of-way. In the past, this has been either for parking or fencing. This will be the first instance in which streets are being temporarily closed on a regular basis. The applicant originally applied for a vacation of right-of-way. However, after consulting the city attorney, it was determined a license and land would be more appropriate as the streets are not being permanently vacated. The applicant has agreed to install large construction barrels equipped with signs noting the change in traffic pattern for 30 days prior to the installation of barrier gates in order to provide notice to the community and potential through traffic that the street will be experiencing regular limited closures. A MOU grants a license and land and is revocable at any time, ensuring that the owner would be responsible for the removal of road barriers at their expense. Conditions for this MOU license and land application shall include that this license is assignable only for the allowance of a limited closure of the 500 and 600 blocks of West C Street, as well as the northern half of the 200 block of North Fargo Avenue. The limited closure shall only apply from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and the street shall be open at all other times. The licensee shall immediately coordinate with emergency services to provide free and immediate access by emergency services to the limited closure area at all times. The licensee shall immediately coordinate with city corporation and other utility providers to provide free and immediate access by utility companies to the limited closure area at all times. The licensee shall post clear signage and barriers indicating the change to the traffic pattern 30 days before installation of barrier gates. The licensee shall post clear signage indicating the hours and days that West C Street and North Fargo Avenue will be closed. The licensee shall not gain an interest in the land by the granting of this license. Future improvements to the right-of-way may require the licensee to abstain from using land that this agreement may cover. The licensee agrees that any expenditures of the licensee on the lots shall not be performed on the reliance of this license. The licensee agrees that there are no interests in the land to be coupled with this license. The licensee shall not expand any more development within the public right-of-way than what is already presented as part of this application. The licensee shall not build within the actual street of West C Street or North Fargo Avenue. The license is revocable by the licensor at any time, provided written notice is given to the licensees, care of the mayor's office, 10 calendar days before revocation of the license. The licensee understands and agrees that any improvement of the property owned by the licensor and covered by the license shall be solely at the licensee's expense and shall not be reimbursed by the licensor for any reason. This agreement shall be recorded at the courthouse at the expense of the property owner and tied to the parcel to be transferred to the subsequent property owner. The licensee has read, understands, and agrees with the terms of this license. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that we forward the memorandum of understanding for a license and land to the City Council for approval with the 16 conditions listed in the comments section of this staff report as a result of the findings below, that the City Legal Department determined that a memorandum of understanding could be approved. Public Works has no objections, and there are no plans to improve this section of West C Street at this time. Are there any questions?
Have we done any kind of public meeting or anything? Closing the streets, that's a major issue.
The mayor brought it as a discussion to, was it the June city council meeting, where city council kind of bounced the idea around, but there hasn't been anything further than that.
Who's that? Okay, that's all. I
Okay.
don't have any more questions from the,
No, I mean, that's correct. They originally came and asked for a complete closure of it, and so the idea of just having the temporary closures through business hours during the week was kind of a compromise, just from the council looking at a potential solution to it. At that point, the applicants were instructed to get with the planning commission or the planning office to apply for this through the planning commission. It's not, to my knowledge, no public meetings were held by the mayor about this, no.
any more questions or discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. So the company doesn't work on the weekends, so this is going to be something that's going to work regardless of, correct?
I'm sorry?
I said they don't work on the weekends?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. Unless there's any more for him, we'll go, yep, come on up.
Thank you.
Okay.
David Garza with Barrett and Associates. The only comment I have is we had to revise our letter, and we've removed the putting the barrels there for 30 days because of the way the insurance reads, it's either yes or no. So we didn't want to put barrels up for 30 days and then somebody start complaining, say, okay, you're not going to do it. It wouldn't do the company any good at all to do that. So right now it's more, this is what we're going to do, either prove it or don't. So that's kind of where it's at. So there won't be any barrels for 30 days or temporary closure for 30 days. Because
Okay.
you know how it is here. All it takes is one person
Oh, yeah.
to not like it, and then it just blows up. So, but it was in the revised.
Yeah. Anyone else want to speak?
Wait, I'm just curious real quick. So the decision process in not having the barrels there and just putting up the gates was that someone may not like it and may complain about the temporary stuff, so that you're just going to skip that part and just go to the permanent structures?
That is correct. That is what their
Do you
wish
think
is.
that they could complain for the permanent structures in the same way that they could complain for the temporary barrels?
They could.
Okay. So then what's your plan at that point?
It's my client's wish that it proceed as I stated.
Any more discussion? If not, entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
The only thing we would ask is that you, if you approve, that you remove the condition of the 30 days of the temporary closure prior to the closure. That's all we're asking for.
What is the repercussion to the business if they don't?
The business has spent a lot of money in renovations. They had to completely rebuild the floor because they purchased an automatic robotic arm stacker. We got to see it a month ago, and it's amazing, but it's also very heavy. And so they've had to go through, and they had I-beams and reinforce the entire floor. Of course, it's an old building, and to be able to accommodate that type of weight, it was something they had to do. Morgan did the design. It was quite costly. They had to put I-beams, they had to put beams up to support it, and then across all the floors. Then once that they did that, they moved in that robotic arm, and what it does, it takes the product comes in, one of the employees takes their forklift, and they actually put the pallet in position. The product, as it's coming through, picks up each one, and it stacks it, and it's fast. I mean, it is amazingly, it's just boom, boom, boom. It is picking them up, and it stacks it this way, then this way, then this way, until it gets, I think, 5 tiers high. And then the forklift operator picks it up and takes it out, and then they wrap it before it goes out into a truck. So with the extent of that, and the policy holder, saying you need to do something to help mitigate the danger to your employees, or I don't know if they're threatening to increase, the cost of that insurance, but it's just with everything that they've spent and everything that they've provided, it's not cost effective to move. They looked at that, after they've already put all of this expense in renovating the process. So, and we, like I said, we work right there, and we've been there since 2008. Before that, I was with Public Works for 8 years. There's not a whole lot of traffic during the day that comes down there. It's more on B Street, Main Street.
Are the surrounding areas owned by Sugar Creek, so that whole
Yeah,
strip here?
they own it all.
Okay.
They own the whole thing. Even on B Street, my office fronts B Street. I'd say maybe I see a car maybe once every 30 minutes. It's just, I walk across the street all the time to Van Ness or over to the 500 building, and there's just not a whole lot of traffic during the day. Now, morning, yes. Evening, people going home, yes. And that's why they're going to close it at 8 and then open it at 5, and it's open all the weekends.
So this isn't something that the public should be notified of and given an opportunity to voice their concerns over the closure, even if it's just for a time frame, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
That I can't answer that. The owner provided, they went before the city council and spoke with the city council. My objective is to present to you, and then it's got to go to city council, right? Because they have to sign it, so it will go to city council.
Okay.
Is to present what they're requesting.
Yeah, I understand
So
that.
there are certain actions that the planning commission can take or that are requested of the city that require by state law for there to be a public hearing. We do 5, 6 of those a year along with our council meetings. This one is not one that requires a public hearing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So it's not something that's required. It is something that, like, I know that you said that we could approve it or we could disapprove it, not approve it. You could also table it. You could also forward it with no recommendation. I mean, there are several different options that you guys have here. And you could even, as a body, could even make the recommendation to the mayor that a public forum of some type be held by this.
So when it goes to city council, they will have to read it 3 times, so it's going to be fairly lengthy period, because they'll have to Yeah, it's going to take 3 readings.
No, I think this would, it's just a resolution, so it would just be one reading.
Okay,
Yeah.
and just one.
With the, with the staff's telling us this would be the first one there ever was, I feel a little hesitant about this. I feel like this could set a bad precedence if we had a business that owned both sides of Main Street. Well, hey, you closed it for them, let's close Main Street, make everybody drive around. I'm worried about that part in the future. So I'm a little bit hesitant on this one.
I mean, you could recommend approval based on their recommendations, which requires the 30 days. That's your option, which then would give public notice.
Open for any suggestions from the, nobody wants to
I mean,
make
I
a
would say
motion on
again,
this one?
like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, your options are, you could approve it as presented with staff recommendations. You could approve it with staff recommendations minus the 30 days. You could just not approve it. You could table it, or you could forward it with no recommendation. Go ahead.
Would a work session be possible?
I mean, I don't know that it necessarily, I can't speak for that. That's something that either the mayor or 3 council members have to call for, and I'm only one. So,
No, of course, thank you very much.
but the mayor has been super,
We can table it till the-
has really been great about working with public and having public forums and work sessions on things that are or could be contentious.
Okay, any motions?
Just in light of short-staffed up here ourselves and the severity this is going to take as a precedence, like you said, I motion to table this.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on tabling this? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of tabling until the next meeting, say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion's tabled.
Yep.
All right, item number 5, staff report, please.
Yes. Item number 5 is a zone text amendment. The Long Range Planning Committee meets quarterly, as you guys know, to review and periodically update the zoning code or land subdivision and development codes. On August 4th, we had our third quarter meeting, and we met to discuss proposed changes. The following items were recommended by the committee to be advanced to the Planning Commission for consideration. So I'm going to run through these pretty quick. You've got all of them in more detail in your packet, so I'm just kind of hitting the high points of what each of them are. So the updates to the Russellville zoning code, we're updating Article 6.1.51A2 regarding the paved surface area requirement. This update was strictly made to correct a citation to another section of the code. It was an incorrect citation, so we're just updating basically a Scribner's error there. Article 6.1.72, screening for off-street parking and vehicle storage areas. This update lowers the required height for gravel screening and allows ornamental fencing instead of requiring it to be site obscuring. Article 7.82, billboard sign conforming. This update adds the word, quote, any to the language regarding spacing between billboard signs and clarifies that this applies to signs on the same side of the interstate right-of-way. Article 7.87B1A, monument signage. This update allows a percentage of flexibility for staff regarding the square footage and height allowances for monument signs. Article 12.2, definitions. There were 2 updates to the definition section. Both of them were done to add clarifying language to existing definitions. The first allowing for bars in the restaurant definition, and the second clarifying that private school would not be considered a school business. Article 14 to the area requirements table. This update was to fix an oversight from the large 2022 zoning code updates that a few of you were here for. We intended to allow higher density development for R2 and R3 zones and inadvertently lowered the density for duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes in these zones. So these updates do aim to achieve the original intent of increasing the density allowance. Article 15, Table of Permitted Uses. So this is what Ms. Stuber was referencing earlier. When her problem kind of got brought to us, we realized that the code allows for daycare family homes to be permitted. This code update will allow for daycare family homes to be permitted via special use permit in RE and R1 zones, and makes child care centers a facility that is not utilized as a home, so just a commercial child care facility to not be permitted within the RE and R1 zones, so kind of just flip-flopping those two allowances there. Additionally, this update would delete the use school, nursery, or child care center, as it is a redundant use category, and those uses fall within the existing uses on the table of permitted uses. The last update on the table of permitted uses was to include private schools in the school use category. And then updates to the Land Subdivision and Development Code, we just have one, and it is to Article 5.3, the final plat application requirements. This update adds the requirement for final plats to clearly show applicable FEMA flood information to the subject, or related to the subject property. So that's kind of the quick of it. Staff does recommend forwarding this application to the City Council with a recommendation of approval regarding Russellville zoning code updates to Articles 6.1.5, 6.1.7, 7.82, 7.78, 12.2, 14, and Article 15, and then update the Land Subdivision and Development Code, Article 5.3, as a result of the findings that the Long Range Planning Committee recommends these additions and updates. The updates provide clear guidance to staff, and the changes are consistent with objectives outlined in the Reimagine Russellville 2040 Comprehensive Plan, the Russellville Zoning Code, and the Land Subdivision and Development Code. I know that was quick. Are there any specific questions on any of those changes?
On the table of permitted uses, the
Yes.
changes here. So Sissy's Corner is a child care center going into R1 zone.
Yes, so basically what they're doing right now,
Yep.
it's a little confusing. So for them to operate currently, they're getting a special use permit as a child care center.
Okay.
They're going to vacate the premises temporarily and not live there, operate it as a child care center, and then hopefully if these code updates get adopted, then they will be able to get a special use permit for a residential home daycare, so then they can be back in the home and operate it that way if these code changes are adopted. Does that make sense?
Yes, so this
Okay.
won't negate
This won't
decision.
negate their special use permit,
Got it.
no.
Okay.
Any more discussion on the, or explanation, want to speak?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Article 6.1.7, the amendment, so it lowers the minimum height of the fence from 5 to 3.5 feet tall,
Correct.
and no longer requires that the fence be site obscuring.
Correct.
Now, what is the rationale behind that? As I understand, like the whole, I don't have the land use code in front of me, so I can't
Yes.
look at that whole section. But if I remember correctly, like the entire point of that was to obscure vehicle storage areas. So
Yes.
why would we change to
So-
then not obscure those?
Yes. So basically, we do have a section of the code that is kind of for impound yards or stuff like that. This has been inadvertently affecting anyone who wants to do gravel in any area. This is our only section that basically references gravel. And so we have had a ton of people that have been coming in for various things and having gravel storage yards. And we had one that was looking at doing a manufactured home sales lot. And their comment that kind of spurred this was, we want a nice vinyl fence, like a white picket fence surrounding this. if we do a site obscuring fence, they could throw up, chain link and mesh, and they're like, that looks like an impound lot. We want something that's going to look nice and cohesive with the area. So that was kind of the rationale behind this. We do have something that directly addresses like an impound lot. So that section's not being touched. We can definitely, if you want us to workshop this in a different way, we can look at that. But that was the rationale behind that.
Well, I know that like definitely for like the impound lots and things along those lines, long-term storage facilities and the like. But I know that where the site obscuring fence has been utilized in the past through the Planning Commission is where you've got like a mechanic shop, and they're going to keep cars that they're working on in the back on a gravel lot. But the idea is to go ahead and make sure that it's site obscuring, so those surrounding either businesses or residences aren't having to look at a gravel lot full of cars. How does this ensure that doesn't happen?
I will say specifically adjoining residential uses, we do still have a provision in the code that requires privacy fences when a commercial abuts a residential. So that definitely covers that.
Well, there was a car lot over on, I want to say it was like maybe Reasoner, or a garage over on Reasoner that was next to a church.
Okay.
And so they were going to store cars in the back, but
Okay.
they were going to be required to have a side obscuring fence because it's not a business, or it's not a home, it's
Yes.
a church next to it. And that was one of the parts of the discussion at that point. This was several years ago.
Okay. So it does, that language says residential use or zone, I think. Most churches are going to be zoned residential. Of course, that doesn't cover all. And again, if it is the will of this body, we can definitely go back and workshop that if we think that's going to create a loophole. Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. If we think that's going to create a loophole, we can definitely go back. It wasn't something that was necessarily super pressing. It was just something that we're running into quite a bit of other businesses.
I want to find a workaround for
Yes.
it. I don't want to inadvertently create a
Cause
loophole
more issues.
or cause conflict
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, and absolutely. If we need to go back,
And with that being said, like if we want to forward it, that's still fine. And then at council level, we're able to, because this will be in an ordinance, and we're able to make
That's
amendments
true.
at that point, and we
Yes.
have 3 months before
Perfect.
we'll vote on it anyway.
perfect. Yeah, so if that
So-
is the will of this body, we can definitely bounce stuff
Yeah.
off of the council.
Yeah.
And I've got a note of that to make sure we're not creating.
And then I would request if someone could send me a copy of the land use subdivision as it currently exists, because I can't find mine.
Okay. Perfect. Any other questions about any of the code updates?
Hearing no more,
All
accept a motion to move this forward.
Make a motion to move this forward with the condition to rework the Article 6.1.7 to
Okay,
Second it.
motion. Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve these changes, forward them to the city council. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. That'll be submitted. It's the end of the agenda. Motion to adjourn. Anybody wants to say, can. Motion.